the champion select?
I was just about to announce something. No one cares.
I guess we are not going to be doing that just yet. OPL is probably the most likely option here, as the Varus is once again going to be banned, and also the Afreeca Freecs selected to go onto the blue side once again for game number 2.
That's right. That's the important thing. KING-ZONE chose red. Now Afreeca chooses blue, and sadly, our suspicions about the Garen Yuumi are not going to come to fruition here, because on the blue side they find it easy to ban the Yuumi, and that means that Deft and Tucson, with their potential to run non-standard, won't get it. In fact, what is going to change here? Because Karthus is not going to be banned on the blue side. That is an adjustment from game number 1.
But if this Rise is locked in, that would not be an adjustment, as it is. And of course, the Afreeca Freecs can flex it. It was UCAL playing it in game number 1, but we did, of course, let you guys know that Keen was a fantastic Rise player. As Cuz thinking about putting some extra priority on his Gragas to try and take it away from Dread and give Cuz all of that damage potential. Of course, most notably this season, topping damage meters as the jungle Gragas, and the Kai'Sa locked in here. That's going to be the deviation, and that is also alluding to a potential bottom lane here from KING-ZONE.
And what I was going to say before we were rudely interrupted by an hour of nonsense is that I wouldn't mind game number 1 being rolled back, but more engage on both sides to make it a bit more punishing for these A rounds and kind of macro oversights. Because if you're stuffing up where you are, at least with engage, you can force things when there's a lot of grouping. We didn't see too much forcing. We'll see the forcing of a Karma pick on the blue side here, though.
Lolpark, you got to step it up.
We should remember that Tucson is playing.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Gragas.
I mean, we've got Gragas that synergizes very well with both of the champions that have been picked alongside it.
And Afreeca could go for like a hyper-aggressive Draven Thresh lane, and then they would at least have support counterpick on the side of KING-ZONE. So they've got a lot of different options here. We'll see what happens. So to continue that, probably don't want to draft anything other than a top laner here.
If they lock in the Camille here, a last pick Sejuani could actually be quite interesting. Synergizes very well with the Yasuo and is able to put the Gragas into the hands of Tucson. But
the ruse is not necessarily over.
Yeah.
Wait and see. How aggressive do Afreeca want to get against Kai'Sa X? On the red side, Afreeca already coming off a victory on the Vayne, but we had talked about how Ezreal was always one of the more manageable lanes for the Vayne to deal with. Is it just screw it Vayne time, though? On the side of Afreeca, we mentioned Draven Thresh.
Yeah.
It seems like the Thresh is definitely coming. How aggressive will Thresh's best friend?
There's got to be a Draven pick here. I mean, the amount of Threshes that we've seen popped up, the amount of times they've been with a Draven and played by the Afreeca Freecs has been pretty insane, but this could be a different taste of a powerful bottom lane, especially moving into the mid game. Talk about 2-item spikes. Kalista is a fantastic option, but the Draven is going to come in. Probably should have gone back to the original analysis there, Atlas.
Hey, I said Draven Thresh. We got Draven Thresh, so
yeah.
We were right together, Atlas, on that one. Final results, straight up Pyke. A Tucson favorite. He loves Predator Pyke on the red side, but this is not the Tahm Kench free lane into superior interaction with the Grey Health. This is a very aggressive 2v2 lane. And it doesn't have a lot of fallback here, so you kind of assume that Cuz is starting red buff and coming bot lane and camping bot lane as much as possible.
Interesting draft out of KING-ZONE. It's been a long time, a good old hot minute, since the Sylas has been top side of the map. But Rascal was one of our resident Sylas players, was one of the first to, in fact, pick that one up here in the LCK. And Tucson trying to bring some aggression towards that bottom side in a lane that I think could be very difficult to be aggressive in.
And I'm scared, Alice, because KING-ZONE had tools in game number 1 that could do stuff and largely didn't know what to do with them. Now they're against a draft where if they don't have a 3 to 4 point plan, like your basic political platform, boilerplate, is deal with Draven or lose. So this is like your first goal is to have a bot lane plan. They need to show us they have a bot side plan. Otherwise, you really can't get any more lane dominant than Draven Thresh.
And also, this is a composition from KING-ZONE that wants to play around mid-jungle synergy. That's exactly what the Gragas Yasuo does, especially after that level 6 mark has been hit. So they're wanting to try and leave Tucson and Deft on an island, and this is a duo that probably would like a little bit of babysitting, a little bit of help in the early game, especially up against the Thresh and the Draven. It's a scary one here if you're a KING-ZONE fan. But here we are finally onto the Rift for game number 2. All right, we're trying to wake up the fans here at Lowell Park because it's been about a game's worth of time that we had being able to bring you that podcast from earlier on. Thank you very much, LCK staff, for giving us that opportunity.
Ooh, Cuz is a Scuba Gragas aficionado. Ooh. Don't see that skin too often.
Do you know who my favorite Scuba Gragas player was?
Who?
Spooks.
There you go. Spooks from Team Order over in, I think it's called Order, but over in the OPL.
Yep.
Owned and managed by our favorite Australian caster.
Outside of ourselves, of course.
Well, I mean, you know. Are you your own favorite caster?
No,
I wouldn't think so. I think most people have a bit of pathos around stuff like that.
Yeah. But, yeah, Spawn, of course, good friend, as well as being the owner of Order. And being able to win those first gauntlet matches was certainly really fun to watch.
He was winning till he lost.
Yeah. Thanks, Skara.
So here's you, Colin. I feel like the champion voices are very loud today.
Yeah. Thankfully, no one's playing Lissandra anymore.
Wait for the drink. Gragas is hilarious when the voice is a bit too loud. He burps all the time. Well, this is a lane where you got to lane second against Draven Thresh. Now, we knew Gragas would start topside. To no one's surprise in the world, he started topside. That's a play. Now,
but Tucson is going to be able to get a lot of damage down onto Senin here. The flash out, the ignite ticking. Senin going to survive. Does, of course, have the potion, and level 1 ignite is counteracted by that one.
Senin epically misplayed that, which means they also don't have Thresh roaming over to back up Dread here. This could be Afreeca messing up.
Yep, Tucson have the opportunity as Dread's going to have to just get the hell out of there. And even if nothing happens here, if it's just Cuz securing his own blue buff, this is going to be a huge win for KING-ZONE as Cuz is going to be able to lock that one down. Dread wasting a hell of a lot of time as the hook is going to go slightly wide. That was a blind juke there from Tucson, really nicely played to avoid getting hooked. The aim was actually right on there from Senin if Tucson had just continued walking as Naya going to get exhausted here as the flash going to be utilized. Dread didn't use his, that was just a safeguard.
A lot of shenanigans happening in this game. Dread knows red buff wasn't taken and that he started Raptors. But he's going to go straight onto the bus. So his cooldowns are down now as Cuz considers his options.
I think he might just be getting out of here at this point in time. Cuz not wanting to fight the Lee Sin. Windwall getting a fair bit of value here, but Neon doesn't have a lot of CS to his name. In fact, half the number that UCAL has been able to pick up so far. And Dread once again in this mid lane. And it's a flashless Neon. A potentially difficult time for this Yasuo in the mid lane.
Teamfight's going to be so fascinating. If Draven doesn't get a cash-in and get going, it actually is a lot of threat from KING-ZONE's comp onto a Draven. His positioning is going to be tricky to pull off. Top side.
Yep, Scon going to land. That's going to get the flash out from Kane and might not be able to play as aggressively up here.
Because it's E-Flash. Not enough there to actually get the connection. Didn't have, of course, the Predator just yet. So going for a creative gank timing that didn't pay off. But you see what Afreeca want to do. Group with Draven, Ryze, an early kind of cash in and take things from there. If that doesn't happen, I think KING-ZONE actually went out in way more fights than they lose out on. So the fact the bot side was so heavily misplayed by Senin and then the invade as a consequence, a knock-on effect, was also not fruitful, is bigger in terms of effect on this game than perhaps it first appears.
See whether KING-ZONE can continue playing out this bottom lane
Dread's
as effectively as level 1, as there's another Bone Skewer landing. Good stun comes in, but the Aftershock going to keep Senin alive, and Def not able to proc the extra Void. Towards the end there, just needed one more auto attack to get that passive in.
Dread's pathing has been so awkward this game. He's been trying to do a lot of things and contest buffs, so working his way down from top side.
Didn't get a lot of value for his red buff either, but did manage to steal away Cuzes, who's now going to work his way towards the bottom lane. Furthest brush here.
Good actual move from Cuz. Yes, on the one hand, he doesn't have any camps apart from his Raptors respawn to go to. On the other hand, with how many camps Dread has up, he's very unlikely to be bot side.
Another Bone Skewer is going to come in here as Senin, remember, doesn't have flash. The Ignite is ticking once again, and Pyke going to be able to lock down that kill super easily. Now aiming 1 versus 3 under the turret. Deft is relatively low, takes another axe to the face. But he's going to be okay, and KING-ZONE draw first blood.
That's right. After the misplay at level 1, there's the return play there with Senin's flash being down. Means a 2v2 kill. Goes against the Draven Thresh lane domination. A disaster from the side of Afreeca. Aiming keeps up his flash, goes down his heel, as KING-ZONE pick the Kai'Sa, pick the hard engage, and get some fruit in the bot lane.
And if Deft has a CS advantage against a Draven in this lane, if we're getting towards a mid-game, that is the most gigantic win for KING-ZONE. Because what Afreeca picked this bottom lane for was to win. And they've certainly not been able to do that.
That was really bad by Senin. He just absolutely airballs the play.
Yeah.
And then just gets taken down where he stood. And we were worried when Senin just locked in his first Thresh a couple of weeks ago, and he showed a pretty good performance compared to his Alistar and some of his other picks. But this, unfortunately, is the sort of rookie mistakes from the 17-year-old support that have really cost his AD carry, who needs lane presence to really make the Draven work.
Yeah. Well, aiming didn't die, so holds on to all of his adoration. Currently ticking over 100 right now. 115, I believe. 117 right there.
And I just love the fact that KING-ZONE were like, well, almost no chance Lee Sin is bot side. He has to clear his jungle at some point.
Yeah.
Went for a couple of engages, and although Cuz was a voyeur, didn't actually get involved in the second fight. Still was good pathing from them overall. And any lead against the Draven almost feels like double duty.
Yep. Well, Tusin's going to make his way back in. He's got the Moby boots now, so the Pyke is able to get himself around the map. And I guess we need to talk about what these compositions are going to be doing as we move further into this game, given the fact that aiming hasn't been able to snowball the early game at all. I feel like KING-ZONE's teamfight composition is going to be absolutely terrifying when we get into skirmishes around the mid-game. And Afreeca, against the run of play, are going to be able to take the first trade.
I do feel like Yasuo should be able to kill both opponents in the side lane if he's at equal or better items against the double magic damage dealers from Afreeca. And Roscoe has a magic damage shield against both, so should be able to sustain through the pain, but will lose the Rise pretty significantly when kind of 3-4 items come in. So there could be a lot of great lane assignments here available for the Yasuo especially. And no double TP because UCAL went the exhaust to keep up in the lane.
Well, he's got a bit of movement speed here, but Cuz is going to be able to lock down his blue buff, of course. Yasuo definitely does not want that, has no mana and has no requirement for cooldown reduction unless he wants a wind wall a little bit earlier. So no worries there.
Definitely the worst, I would say. Is there a worst?
No, he's absolutely the worst.
Is he the worstest?
Yes. He is by far the worstest.
Who would be second worstest of mid laners?
Well, there's no one that's so uniquely hates CDR.
Pretty bad.
Who else hates CDR?
Rumble? Rumble's pretty bad with
CDR. Rumble's probably the second worst, I'd say. Because he likes to manage, right? So he doesn't overheat.
Yeah. Ultimate Hunter good because you don't actually interact with the negative cooldowns. Get the CDR there. As Keen took a boatload of damage.
That was a great trade there from Rascal, showing that the top lane Silas is still working. The golden chain's still there.
Katarina, Zed, Akali, they always appreciate blue just to keep up their wave clear.
Yeah, exactly. They do really like having the extra CDR. That's the thing. So even if you are, completely manaless, like even a Garen, right? Garen likes CDR, so not ultimately bad.
Aiming still stacking. Again, him having his flash blown is...
There's another bone skewer. Decent stun comes out, but another flash has to be used from Senin.
They're winning standing damage trades, though, Atlas, with just auto-Q and aftershock from Tucson rather than his usual Predator.
Yeah.
In order to do a little bit better in the 2v2. So the only thing Afreeca have going for them is that no summoners have to be blown. That's a flash blown from Senin, and his hooks have, let's say, left a bit to be desired.
I mean, that was, he was picking the juke with that one there, Papa Smithy, okay? Cut him some slack. But yes, I completely agree with you. It hasn't exactly been the most incredible Thresh performance thus far. I'm glad that he has demonstrated to us that he is a decent Thresh player with the Thresh games that he played against SKT. Being able to win one of those games, in fact, was pretty impressive from Senin, but yeah, not today. This is not the Thresh game. This is more like the Senin Alistair variety of his Thresh.
That was not the best.
His budget support Maokai, I think is what you called it.
I feel like support Maokai is better than people. It's in the fine territory.
Well, Shelly does make her way to the Rift. 10 minutes has ticked over. 400 gold is the lead here for KING-ZONE, and they're looking to extend it. Moving towards the top side, Tucson getting that roam on. And they have sole vision of this area. In they go. Great barrel there from Cuz. His Gragas is always so good, and it continues to be so, as the depth from below is going to help get a bit more money into this KING-ZONE roster.
Now, we were talking earlier about flow-on effects, just give him a bit of control around Rift Herald. Also consider, Atlas, that TP Kai'Sa is getting his support, roaming into other lanes, and winning lane trades against heal Drake. Yeah, which is adding insult upon injury, as we always like to talk about. Still, could still be caught in transition here, potentially.
Just deep water diving around here as the Bone Skewer does not land. Cuz just going to be wandering away from Yukal and Dread. Zaming's getting some plates here underneath the turret, but otherwise, not too much going positively for the Afreeca Freecs.
They're down in plates, right? If you look at the map, it's 3 top lane.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And 1 mid. So it's 4-1 in terms of plates. No plates gained by Karma, which starts to make the Karma pick stick out. Seems like this is going to have to be the before Infinity Edge grouping against Yasuo, otherwise bad times rolling scenario here for Afreeca.
And if KING-ZONE wins, then it's 100% Karma loss rate. Thank you very much, Detroit. Hopefully, this means that neither of these teams pick it ever again, as that's the playback onto Neon. He is able to dash around these minions, though, and win well. High value, as Yukal's going to get knocked up, and Neon gets to safety. Afreeca have been also trying to take down Shelly at the same time, as Rascal's got a mantra ability of his own moving down from the top side. Deep water dive there from Tucson, gets into flanking position, not able to steal away Shelly though, and Dread grabs that one for himself pretty comfortably. As Deft on the bottom side is the reason why KING-ZONE couldn't go aggressive.
So where we put in the plate gold is a fair question to ask Afreeca. They will want to put it into the hot little hands of aiming on this Draven, you would have to imagine. Yuka's gone exhaust just to stave off the onslaught of Yasuo, so they have to get those investments going. Dread picked a jungler that has lower jungle presence than the enemy jungle, but of course that was through some creative shenanigans of KING-ZONE. Was expected they'd be going. They locked in the Gragas, locked in the Silas. We could go the way of the Lee Sin, but that just means they haven't really gotten anywhere going, and they can't recreate plays like KING-ZONE have pulled off.
Yeah, X marks the spot where KING-ZONE were able to grab that kill on the top side of the map. Weren't able to grab Shelly as well, as Afreeca have had sole possession of every global objective neutral objective on the map so far. So that is what's going well for them.
Do you reckon Riot ever tried to, you know, get X marks the spot as the ultimate name for good old Pyke? Maybe.
I mean, is it better than Death from Below? Probably.
Yeah. I mean, it's very, what's the word? What's the word where it's like, it's very informational.
Yeah, succinct.
Yeah.
I like it. I think that would have the Jat seal of approval. He likes ultimate names that explain what they do, you know?
Jat is my favorite seal after all.
Well, KING-ZONE should be able to grab at least one more plate up here, and they do so. Sharing it between Kuz and Rascal. Neon comes on over, and they'll be able to take the turret. Shelly is unleashed on the bottom side, though, much like you were talking about, Papa, giving that money over to aiming. Is going to be their priority.
Hey, what are you doing, Dred? Dred just ganked
stealing the money. What the heck?
Well, I hope he's got a sickly Sin item to buy. Yeah. I guess it's about pace here. Two Sin and Death. Going to try to fight this one back. It's not going to work.
Yep, they're going to lose that turret, but the race is already won by KING-ZONE as they were able to push down that top outer turret. They grabbed the first turret gold bonus as well. And they've even got a static shiv for Neon, going for the static shiv variety as Realm Walk is going to get channeled there. Flashes, but Abscond is there. That's a bit of a misplay from UCAL, but he didn't have too many other options. Throws his flash away.
Why did he flash into the middle of the Realm Wall? He didn't even flash towards the edge of it. I mean, look, that one was very unlikely to go through, but feel like it could have been better. And the worry here is I think it's pretty easy to say, okay, KING-ZONE's ahead, and I mean, they were ahead in the previous game and couldn't close. Easier to execute teamfight comp, you know? At the end of the day, whenever we see people pick poke comps and then lose, we're always like, maybe just calm down. They got the engage this time, come from different directions. So KING-ZONE have a lot more ease of execution for, say, a Baron contest. A lot of Baron damage to Yasuo and Kaisa as well. Let's watch the replay. Maybe I'm pulling him out and he was actually with a sick flash. I mean,
it's just the timing.
But why wouldn't he just flash to the top corner rather than straight in the middle?
And if you flash, like, you know, 0.4 seconds later, then you just instantly get out. I don't know. There was a few whoopsies going on there. Compounded whoopsies, perhaps.
Oh, that's not the type of whoopsies
No.
You want occasional fleeting whoopsies.
Yeah, fleeting whoopsies are okay. No one's perfect as Bone Skewer. Oh, very close. Dred feeling the wind of that one.
I mean, Dred should be feeling the pressure. He's feeling a bit like Tarzan in game 1 of the LCK
1 and
final.
2, right?
Well, 1 especially, right, where he just couldn't get anything done at all. Dred is 0-0-0 and 2 levels under, so it's like,
what have you been doing with your time, I guess?
This is the one where your manager comes in and wants to see the time card, you know? Like, what's the tail of the tape here?
Yeah, did you actually come in today?
And it all flowed on from kind of the level 1, right? Because he went for the aggressive contest of the enemy blue into late invade of red. Yeah. And if Senan hadn't messed up his lane trade and was backing him up, he definitely would have gotten the blue, and he probably would have gotten the red. And then everything makes sense, right? Because the enemy's like, tail between his legs, I didn't get any jungle camps myself. Instead, his pathing was so thrown off that if you think about how much of this game was related to the level 1 misplay, because from there, the contest didn't work, and then the red buff contest didn't work, and then he had to clear his camps to get even level 3, so he couldn't be bot lane when the 2v2 kill happened. Like, that's a lot of cascading to happen because level 1 was so heavily misplayed.
The problem is that it all sort of... It's worse and then worse again because KING-ZONE's composition just snowballs so incredibly effectively also with what you've already been talking about as far as side lanes. I mean, if Neon gets to a point where he's got a couple of items, Infinity Edge included early, then it can be a really big problem as Deep Water Dive from Tucson moves himself further forward. He's going to be able to lock down Dred here for a little moment's time, and the turret's going to help out. As KING-ZONE look to be defending this outer turret relatively effectively. Deft already has the evolution on the Q, and Infinity Edge was what Aiming decided to go for as Kuz dives in. Not able to get lethal damage onto Dred as the Void Seeker is going to find only Senan.
Yasuo not there. Production pinging us to remind us that he did get the red buff on the invade, but it was just a big buff, and it still hurt his clear so much that he was out of position for bot. So thank you for that. On the side of Production, in case you guys are wondering, Yasuo is still mid, so he wasn't going to actually be in position for a last breath. It does feel like it's a global range sometimes, but not quite that global.
Nope, more of a disengage ultimate there from Kuz. Actually did some decent damage to Dred at the same time, so not too bad. Double Cloud Drake's going to be augmented by a mountain, though, now. And it has already spawned.
You'll be pleased to know that he went Infinity Edge to try to high roll the cash. This is really, like, that's why they were going for the turret dive. It's, please, can we avert these blue blades and get the cash in?
Well, at least he gets it, you know? And now he's got another BF sword on top of it. He's going to be building towards that.
But he doesn't have a Bloodthirster to frontline, right?
Yeah, true.
That can definitely hurt you. KING-ZONE have taken over this. This is a really nice setup that they weren't able to do about inner turrets. The game went on in game number 1, but they push in, they had priority there, they chase away the Karma, and they get the Mountain Drake. And when we want to see a Draven with some shields and some utility, it's instead Karma being denied CS and Drake's being unanswered on the side of KING-ZONE.
The thing I really love from KING-ZONE, though, in this moment in time is the fact that they did their homework before making that play. They get all of the wards down, they get all the information that they need, and then they take out a turret, and they take the Mountain Drake, and they then go home, get that reset. They've got more control wards now in their back pocket, and it's not Cuz building towards the Trinity Force, it's Cuz now with a Spirit Visage, so that he can take a few more drinks to get a bit more health back, and also has those control wards in his back pocket. So KING-ZONE playing a lot more diligently around getting that information and making this mid-game count, and it might pay off here as aiming great sidestep. Takes the Lantern Ride to get to safety. KING-ZONE now closing in once again on the top side. Cuz Predator moving on in, throws down the barrel, locks it in, onto aiming. Is he going to get taken down though? Yes! Toosin locks down the kill. Rascal diving on forward. Dread's going to get taken out. It's a double kill. Money everywhere for KING-ZONE. The triple death from below as Deft dives onto UCal, and KING-ZONE are now trying to chase down the scraps. Realm Warp coming on in. It was stolen, and UCal's life is going to suffer the same fate, but no, the turret is going to be enough to deter them, and KING-ZONE 6-0 in game 2.
And look at that, already 1474 gold is commanded by the Pyke. Pyke better Draven confirmed, as Draven did not flash away and get away from the initial onslaught. He dies, and so does a lot of Afreeca's hopes. I think we're going into game 2 with a level playing field.
Yep, and those adoration stacks as well are now going to suffer after that death comes in. Project Pyke going home 4-0-1. For Toosin, he's just super good. When Toosin is good, he is so good.
Aiming couldn't afford to get hit by a cast. I think it's unacceptable they didn't flash it. The moment he gets hit by that, his gold is gone. The enemy gold amped up by everyone roaming to the top side. Watching the full zoom in on the death animation.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to see that. As yep, bit of a whoopsie here. Sennin's Thresh performance really leaving a lot to be desired here today. 7,000 gold now the lead, and that lead is only going to extend.
Back to Nautilus for him, I think.
I think so too. As they were the team that banned the Nautilus this game, if you cast your mind back. So trying to deny Toosin, but Toosin's one of these players that has a bit of a champion ocean. Feels like him and Deft are capable of so many different combos on that bottom side of the map.
And I was quick to say that could be the game ender, and definitely there's a lot of reasons to believe that KING-ZONE are a huge point of advantage. But remember, this is not a draft built for Siege. They suck at Siege, but they're good at engaging, and they could potentially force under turrets. So, we're going to play 3 lanes, or we're going to YOLO down 1. It's definitely something KING-ZONE need to consider, because there is no Ezreal to Siege down alone.
Yep, barrel comes in, lands a bit of damage there on Descendant, as Deft is keeping these minions buffed up. Slinks that Void Seeker in onto Keen. Because now KING-ZONE, they have run of the map, so they are able to get these rotations working for them.
And they're bringing in the minion waves slowly here, which is good to see. Rascal waited and then empowered the minion wave to push quicker into this bottom turret. KING-ZONE playing out the map well here, good to see.
Yep, and also their comp dives very, very effectively. Another Void Seeker comes in, Deft knows exactly where aiming is. Bone Skewer charged, not able to get too much.
Consider that Afreeca put them back on red side.
Yeah.
KING-ZONE can pick red side for game number 3 if they want it, so very intriguing champion select minigame we'll have to return to. Go ahead.
What I love seeing from KING-ZONE though, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's just so cool, is that, okay, Deft looking for aiming, Not going to be able to find the damage there as a bone skill point blank, but is going to miss onto Dread. Thankfully, the barrel lands, so the KING-ZONE do find something. But now aiming, no mana, no health. Def didn't even have to use his flash there at all to close that distance because Killer Instinct is a cool ability. And what happens is the inner turret falls on the bottom side because KING-ZONE have been spreading Afreeca so thin. And what I was trying to talk about before is the fact that this is so different from the KING-ZONE that we've seen towards the end of the summer split. Because after a loss, it's often been a catastrophe for KING-ZONE, not a turnaround. This is completely the opposite. KING-ZONE tidying up the mistakes from game one and playing much better.
And while we haven't called it out when it comes to player kind of trajectory on the side of Afreeca, do consider it could have been mid lane Karma and Keen on the Rise top lane.
Yeah.
And whatever the matchup scenario, it makes a lot more sense to run the mid lane Karma. That's what you see in the LPL. Mid lane Karma, not top lane Karma, and it's Keen, right?
Yeah.
He is a raid boss player, but he's going to be hamstrung on Karma in this particular game. So while that's not the reason they lost game number 2, it isn't something that helps them escape from what feels like an unsalvageable scenario when it was something more simple than changing your champions. It was changing the allocation.
And if you have a look at the Klepto Karma as well, up against the 003 Silas, would you have assumed that he was 2,000 gold ahead?
No.
I wouldn't have either. But that's just how it's worked out, and that's what happens when...
Gold sharing, all that fun.
Remember that those assists are off of Pyke.
Oh, great.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. Pyke really does skew things, and that's going to mean that 24 minutes into the game, a 10,000 gold lead. KING-ZONE now with double Mountain Drake as well, 4 minutes until the third one.
Who are all the champions that cheat the gold curve? There's Draven.
Old Twisted Fate.
Old Twisted Fate. Still current Twisted Fate.
Gangplank as well.
Current Twisted Fate's passive.
Yep, yeah.
That is a really cool back animation.
It is.
I wonder if you can use like Renekton to tilt people in lane. I guess they nerfed Pyke lane so they could release this skin.
There we
That's
go.
the reason it happened, guys, because otherwise you just tilt people to no end backing in lane and then 1v1 lane.
Just like, and you're talking about Pool Party Renekton,
Yeah,
of course,
Pool Party
jumping
Renekton.
up on his chair. I love that skin.
Who
for
else
that.
has... Does Katarina still get more gold for kills?
I don't
As part of a passive? Did they
that
remove?
was a long time ago.
But they nerfed it? I just don't know if they ever completely...
I think they did.
I think you're right, and yet I'm not sure. Does anyone else have a gold related? I guess Ornn definitely cheats.
Oh, that's true, yep.
Given free kind of upgrades of items. Could you have a cheater team is what we're trying to work out here. So what have we got? Twisted Fate.
We've got Twisted Fate, we've got Gangplank, and we've got Draven. And we've got Pyke.
Ornn.
So we've got 4, we've got 5.
Wow, and Ornn Jungle was played in the Superliga final.
There we
It's
go.
actually pretty decent. I know LS is a big fan. Make sure to ask him about that.
Make sure to take Unsealed Spellbook as well.
Man, that's a lot of cheating.
Oh, yeah.
5-man Unsealed Spellbook.
No, they all
things.
need Kleptomancy.
Yeah.
Everyone needs Klepto. Think about how strong you'd be in the early game. All right,
How about how strong KING-ZONE is right now? They're 10,000 gold ahead.
Maybe he's going to get slowed there. That actually could be a big deal. The Mantra Q going to go completely wide as Rascal's going to steal away a Whirling Death, throws it out immediately. 3-man! Barrel comes down. The last breath is going to be in as Kane is stabbed to death on the backline. Meanwhile, it's Deft cleaning up the front line. Dread running away. It's a catastrophe for the Afreeca Freecs, and KING-ZONE have come alive.
I think that should be one done. You'd think Dread is considering his options, hoping to join the other team.
There's the
Bad
flash
news.
bone skewer. He does go golden,
Whoa,
so
that's
denies
a good
the extra
poke.
money. But who cares? It's the ace. Tucson locks it down. And we're moving towards potentially what looks like a perfect game when it comes to the kills. The inhibitor turret goes down, and I believe the Nexus will be shortly following.
11-0. Not a football scoreline, and yet that is a stat line here in terms of kills. KING-ZONE closed it, didn't even break into a sweat, and after the long pause, KING-ZONE come out, heads held high.
Yeah, big flash in onto aiming there as well. Just for good measure, Rascal's going to clean up. The Nexus goes down before he can, and KING-ZONE answer back. It's a tied series in this best of 5, and it's KING-ZONE riding the ship and equalizing. Not something I was expecting to say in this series.
I mean, mired so much in game number 1 on their patented Ezreal, and yet they adjust, they bring out the team fight comp with the